Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation Magazine. This is what it used to look like. I had Michelle Fleming when she was at Lucky Brands. God, I don't know where she is right now, but she's still building stores. And we thank Michelle for gracing the cover. Let's see how big this issue. This was 196 pages. Let's see what I was doing. Oh, I was the varsity coach at Pinecrest Academy. It was a Catholic prep school, basically private school locally, and took the team to the state championships the first time they ever had gotten there. I had, I think, 10 seniors on my team. And my goalie on the men's team, he was the head coach there. He said, David, come over there and be the offensive coordinator and put the rock in the net. And I was like, okay, man. And we did what we said. We finished what we started. We went out and made the playoffs for the first time. The parents were totally stoked, but we lost in the first round. We should have beaten that team, but I don't know how much further we would have gone. After you get out of the first round, you're playing some really good teams, but it was great for the school and it was really good. I always like looking to see what was going on. This was almost 4 years ago, and but we went digital in August of 21. That was my last issue I published, and haven't looked back. Don't miss the printer. Don't miss the post office. Become a content creator. I don't even like using the word influencer. I'm just a gabber on there. But anyway, at about just under 49 million people hit our website last year consuming content. So it's been an amazing transition from print face to digital. And this year I'm on pace for about 70 to 80 million people. So as long as the algorithms don't screw with us and we keep doing our thing every day, we'll hit that. And never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I would ever be a data guy, but I am. And I was forced into it, just like a lot of people had to pivot and change and adapt. And but it's been an amazing ride. So everybody out there that finds us on the web and sends us content to post, et cetera, thank you so much. You're gold in my eyes, and I couldn't have done without it. But I'm out here sitting on my porch. I was building my house for the last well, it took us 14 months. 10 months to build and 4 months of permitting, and moved in about the middle of June. And I'm just finishing up my studio and get my last boxes unpacked. And it's been a blur the last 6 weeks, to say the least. I had to get the other house up for sale, get it ready, finish this, get my go through my final inspection. Only had two things I had to fix. Got an A+ from the county, and they're like, "We'll see you in your next builds down the road." It's my wife's company; she's the contractor, but I kind of was helping her do it, and it was we've been married 30 years, and we're still married now. A lot of people say, "Don't build your house with your spouse," but I was like, "Yeah, we're going to do it," and it was a great experience. Learned a lot, and I hear there's a house shortage, so we're excited to build some houses and help that shortage with a couple of new ones. So, in any event, got a nice gentleman out on the West Coast in California. His name is Matt Thomas, and he is with NanaWall. He's the director of marketing. Matt, say hello to our listeners out there in Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hello, everybody.
And the reason why I Matt on is because his product gets, it's residential, it gets commercial, it's kind of doors and glass, and but he gets his product spec'd in all over the country. So it could be in hot weather, cold weather, all time weather, and just like here, we get cold weather a couple of months out of the year, and then really hot during the summer, and then the other two seasons, early, spring and fall. It's just beautiful because there's no humidity. And but we'll talk about it. I'll let Matt. He's the expert, not me. But I'm very familiar with them, and I've seen their booth. And oh God, I don't know. I've been walking trade shows for 25, 30 years, and AIA. I could go down the list. I probably, back in the days, I probably was walking 30 or 40 trade shows. Everything from lighting, flooring, architecture, concrete. You name it. I walked it. But it's an his product is really, really cool. Like I said, it gets spec'd into residential, commercial. If you're not familiar, you will be after our discussion. So, Matt, the way that we're going to do this, we're going to do it in three sections. First one, you're going to give us your bio, where you grew up, where you went to school, how you ended up at NanaWall, and then we'll talk about lessons learned over the last 5 years of the roller coaster that we've been on. And then you'll leave your contact info and then one positive thought of our phrase for our listeners out there in commercial construction coffee talk, and then we'll finish up. So, with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Okay, well, for me, I actually started out in tech. So for a good 20 plus years, I worked in technology, developing mobile media technologies and streaming web technologies behind that, and ran a product management group and lived overseas for a number of years doing that, both here and in Silicon Valley and overseas. And with tech, after a while, it has its trials and tribulations up and down. When I moved back from overseas, I decided I wanted to do something a little different. So I merged two worlds. I ended up working with a friend of mine and a number of people in doing home automation. That was my intro into construction, and being residential construction. We would gut houses, we would rerun wire, low voltage, high voltage, develop and make theaters and add in security systems, basically developing a whole backbone for these homes on the high end, that they were almost operating like small companies with
Hmm.
the infrastructure that we install. From that point on, I ended up seeing and talking to people at NanaWall, and an opening opened up. So I jumped over here, been over here nearly 15 years, love it. It's a great company. We make a fantastic product. And it always, for me personally, always fun working for a company that actually makes something. And what we make is made both in Germany, but mostly made here in America. We have a large manufacturing facility over the water here. We are in Northern California, as David mentioned, and we have a local California based manufacturing facility that is 3 buildings where the product is made using aluminum profiles that are made in America. We make the profiles, extrusions are all from America. So there's a lot of talk lately about where product is made. Our product fits into, I believe it's a BOMA, BO, I can't remember
Building
the exact
operation,
act.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
BOMA
So
certification.
we meet those requirements. And so why that's important to listeners is fast manufacturing to project arrival. So your fast ship times, something we strongly focus on being made here. Also quality, right? We are crafted here. And as a company, we manufacture our product as noted, but we also design and engineer it here too. So many of the ideas come directly from the CEO himself, unique patented ideas, and those are designed and incorporated into the product and then utilized in different environments.
The product line is basically the way that I see it, it's folding, it's windows, it's doors, it's kind of a combination of,
Let me
all
clarify.
letting clear light in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm giving you the general, but you can do it better than I am, but I know what it is. So
No, that's right. But basically, what we do is we make doors. We have actually 4 different product lines, and those doors manifest themselves into different configurations, hundreds of different configurations. But to simplify, NanaWall has always been known for the folding glass door or the bifold door, where they fold like an accordion, and where we started out in the residential environment. And I'd say today we are roughly 60% commercial.
yeah.
We sell into various commercial environments, and I'll go over those when applicable. But we have these 4 different product lines known for the folding doors, but we have large panel sliding doors, we have multi slide doors, we have all glass panels that are predominantly used in commercial environments, where they're either folding doors or individual sliding panels that move away. Used a lot in retail environments, for instance, in restaurants.
Hmm.
And we also then have what are called what we call single track sliding system, which is basically large panels that are individual. They're not attached to each other. And they can be in environments such as we're in Snap on Tools, and Snap on Tools divides up all their presentation facilities with our product, and it's 12 feet high. And these giant panels move, and then they can reconfigure their interior environments based on the types of customers and how many customers that they have in their presentation theater. So that's one example. So we have these 4 product lines, as noted, predominantly commercial. And you will see us in local restaurants all the way to major hotel chains, to government facilities, lots of sports venues, all 3 major sports. But what is one of the largest growing sports venues are MLS soccer stadiums, which
Hmm.
we are are being incorporated into many. And there are various reasons we're used in suites, in those cases of sports venues and restaurants to open up to outside vistas or to divide off environments, in retail environments to bring that store to the customer, whether it's in an inside or exterior mall environment. And I could go on, but
Yeah.
I just want to
Hey,
gloss
I'm
over
thinking
it.
craft brew. I'm thinking, healthcare. I'm just thinking of everything. Federal, it's just endless because they're the biggest contractor in the world. We're at my wife's company. We're federal contractors there as well.
Mm,
So, it's endless where your product, you never know where it's going to, but, it's like me. When we were designing the house, we looked about, should we put some French doors or should we open it all up? After you do it, you go back and look and you say, yeah, well, maybe we should have done that or this. But your product is very, very applicable because it could be for new construction, it could be for reuse, putting that modern technology into an old look, and which I personally like myself, or you could just be gutting a house and redoing it and upgrading it, um, but from the commercial side, I'm not shocked that you're more commercial than you are, even though you started out as a residential, because all of those sectors they're all kind of merging in. I wrote my column last month about residential and commercial, making that, they're both getting ideas from each other and, kind of trying to apply it. So, um, obviously, if it's more conducive if you can roll out, 40 projects that are going to have your product and, maybe a couple homes, but if there's a lot of homes that are putting in there, it's conducive for you to market to them anyway. So you get the best of both worlds with your product line. So,
that's
and
right. To coattail onto what you just said, to give you an idea, out here on the West Coast, things are much newer. It's like the Steve Martin movie. These things are like vintage. They're like 20 years old. Whereas on the East Coast, we are in many, to take, for instance, golf clubs. Many of these golf clubs were built over 100 years ago. So they have much more traditional architecture. Um, Bart's New Jersey, and then a number of country clubs throughout the Northeast, particular as an example, want modern amenities, and they have to keep up and make their clubs attractive to new members, but they also do not want to disturb the classic architecture. And so they use a particular product of ours. I mentioned it a moment ago, that what we call our single track sliding system, where those individual panels, like the same ones that Snap-on used as an example, um, to basically get out of the way of the architecture. When closed, they're thin profile, you have a lot of glass, so you can still see the product. But when opened, which is when the customers or the members of the club are there, these products can get out of the way and even remove themselves into closets or around the
yeah,
corner
you don't see them.
so that they don't get in the way of the architecture, which is very important to maintain in these facilities because that is their identity, that is their personality. So we go to great lengths to work with architects and contractors to configure, and we have a team internally to do so, to configure this product so that, it performs as intended, being weather resistant, so that they can utilize these clubs year round if there's inclement weather. But then when it's either, the right time of year, spring, summer, fall, or a storm rolls in, they can either be put back into place or again moved out of the way so that the grandeur of whatever that facility is can be utilized and appreciated.
Yeah, I saw a stat last week that said that I think up in like the Northeast or the East Coast, 50% of the homes are over 50. They're 50 to 75 years old, and then the next tier down, you're still looking at older homes. The newer homes are definitely the minority, and as you go further out west, because it took more to tame the West than it did the East, but still, there's a lot of homes that are out there along, that 30 years old, 20 years old that need a facelift or so forth. And then when you go into these older homes up in the Northeast, a lot of people, they don't want to get rid of that heritage or that nostalgia, but they want to have that modern kind of look to it. That's why I always like the reuse projects or renovations to, keep that that era because some of the architecture that they did way back when, like some of the buildings in New York City are just beautiful. They just don't, they don't, now they're, metal, steel, just facades. And but the older buildings, they've got awesome architecture, and they're just not done that way anymore. So I think having that kept there is just good for everybody because history always repeats itself. So you can always kind of look and say, hey, this is how we can, melt that in and merge them too, and we won't upset the apple cart with the people that are into modernism or versus classicism, if I'm using the right words. So,
Yeah,
but
if it's Greek revival architecture, whatever it may be.
yeah, exactly. Um, Talk about how March 2020, basically 5 years ago, the country's just booming, cranes everywhere. I don't care what city I went to, there was always cranes. Something's getting built, and then all of a sudden March comes along and boom, everything stops. Depending on what state you were in, it was a little more stopped than others, but a bunch of people that I've talked to over the last 5 years had some of the best years. They learned a lot about their company. They learned about, hey, there's more to life than just work. And now that things have settled down, we're out of the tunnel, but we're still kind of talking about it. I mean, they said it was going to be only 3 weeks or 3 months, and now here we are 5 years later, and we still was talking about it. But uh, just like myself, I had to make the transition. I had no choice. I was kind of, what do I do? Been around for 20 some odd years as a publisher, and half my offices were either furloughed or closed across the country. I was fighting with my printer. I didn't want to mail all these issues and pay for the postage of the printing when they were all just going to get thrown out because they couldn't get delivered. So it was kind of a conundrum. And but as I look back, uh, just the conversations that I had with people. Talk about how NanaWall weathered it, and then we'll talk about some trends and stuff that you see, going through the rest of 2025 and into 2026.
Well, for us, obviously, as everyone went into, it was a lot of uncertainty. And so what we did was just, hunker down and focused on doing what we do. But what came out of it was very interesting, is that residential went through the roof. People decided to focus locally, focus on their environment. So we saw a lot of strong demand on the renovation and remodel market. And makes sense, right? You're in your home, you're starting to think about it, you have the time to think about it, and why not use that opportunity as the moment to incorporate change? So that's one thing. But commercial is where things got really interesting. Sure, certain industries shut down. The hotel industry, and we're in a lot of the major chains, they went on hold. Restaurants were up and down, retail was up and down, but where we saw the strongest interest were education. We do a lot of schools. Schools took that opportunity to use that time to renovate and incorporate flexible school environments where they used our product to divide up areas so that teachers can collaborate. You have classrooms in these areas where they can utilize the same resources and collaborate with each other and change up the way that they teach kids. Then another area is offices. I think a lot of companies are very smart in the fact that they knew that this would be temporary, albeit years,
Hmm.
still temporary in the big picture. So they use that opportunity to renovate offices when no one was there. But the most important to me personally, and a number of people here, and where we really focused on, was restaurants. We all still wanted to go out, right? A lot of restaurants in my town over here, they moved all the seating out to the street. And so they cut streets off. And so it was fun for a while, sitting out on the street, very Italian style, al fresco
Hmm.
dining. But that could only go so far because you only had limited amount of sidewalk space. The restaurants that we had or had used our products had the advantage. And why did they have the advantage? Because they could open those products up and they could meet local ordinance rules and regulations about how many people they could have in their restaurant at any given time because they had fresh air ventilation, they had natural daylighting. And more importantly, we as patrons felt more comfortable being at that restaurant because of that large open space, natural daylighting that brought and made the environment feel good. But most importantly, that fresh air ventilation really helped and made us all feel more comfortable in the restaurants that had our product that opened up. And I spoke to a number of general managers during and post lockdown where they told me they were able to increase seating capacity because they used our product and opened up and they expanded tables out to the outside, but because of that fresh air ventilation, they could increase the amount of people they had in their restaurants, therefore minimizing the amount of staff if minimizing layoffs if at all, keeping the important people, their wait staff, their operation staff, and their cook staff all working because they were able to seat more people at any given time. So that we found and focused on because that made for a great story that these restaurants all survived and made it through because they were able to continue what they always did.
Restaurants, the ones that had like a drive-through area or they had that open area where they could accommodate, put more seating on, those are the ones that definitely flourished. If you didn't have a drive-through or some way that you could meet the public in a safe environment, depending on what state you were in, because all the regulations were different state by state,
Mhm.
those were the ones. And I'll tell you, the first thing that I did in March, where I was looking at hotels for my summer retreats. We were going to do them in Milwaukee and take the tour of Harley. And I forget there was another gig we were going to do. Anyway, I was in the airport and saw one of my clients going down and changing planes. I hadn't seen him. Anyways, like, what do you think's up? I'm like, well, they just canceled March Madness, and I was supposed to go watch University of Denver play Ohio State in the Horseshoe in Columbus. My parents are going to meet me up there. I guess that's canceled too. So I don't know. I'll see you around, hopefully in the airport sooner rather than later. And uh, and I came back, and the first thing I did was I told my son, I said, "Look, we're going to go redo the deck." So I went out and bought the 2x10s, and I did the stairs. But if I would have done that 2 months later, it would have been 4 times the cost because product. I mean, just building products, everything skyrocketed.
Mhm.
And but I was lucky. I went out there for quick to do it. And but so many people, whether they were, a lot of my clients, they all lived someplace. They all were doing renovations. They were all looking at, maybe they had a second home or they were thinking about renovating. And you're right that it probably exploded. But once things opened up, it kind of tailed off and then it got in. And the people, you talk about restaurants, the hotels especially, if they were in a state where they were set down, if they were smart, the smart hoteliers, they instead of doing like if they do it while the hotel is open, they'll do a floor at a time. But they
Mhm.
lose that time and they lose that revenue. Here, if they were shut down, they could do the whole building, put new, FF&E, fixtures, carpet, paint, give it every a facelift. So when the economy opened up, they would be ready. And the ones that did that are the ones that flourished. The ones that kind of sat back and didn't do it, now the biggest thing is if you're a business owner is okay. All my employees, they prove themselves that they could be hybrid or work out of their homes. How do we get them to come in? Do we do it a hybrid? What do we want to do to the office space to make it more user friendly and that's the biggest, challenge I think for people in real estate because a lot of the big cities, their occupancy rates are down. How do we get those buildings renovated or adaptable to where the way they want it? And plumbing's the biggest thing. Like if you're in New York, some of the buildings are really old and they want to put 10 apartments in there, but the building's only built for a women's and a men's bathroom, probably, on each floor. So whoever has that silver bullet that can figure out the most that is going to make trillions of dollars because I don't care where you are in the country, everybody is dealing with it. And you don't want to take your employees off to prove themselves, but also they want to go to the beach, they want to go to games, they want to go to rock concerts, but they really don't want to come back to the office, but they want to keep their job and they want to make money. So it's kind of that mutual thing. So I don't envy anybody being in that situation because it's got to be tough to figure out, do I keep the space? Do I downsize? Do I upsize? Because business is getting, I just think it's an amazing time to be alive because there's so much construction. As soon as the interest rates come down, and I wish the Fed would just get it over with, the economy is going to explode, and it's going to be unbelievable. But I hear it, with what you said about the restaurants and so forth. Man, I mean, you wouldn't even recognize a restaurant 5 years ago, what it looked like today or before. It's just everything has changed the way that they operate and that, especially if you're an open seating mall and out in California, hey, you're in God's country. You can ski in the morning and go surfing in the afternoon. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just an unbelievable, experimental ground. So, what about yourself personally? I mean, what did you learn, just being through that gig?
Well, my house is similar to yours, where I look out onto nature. I'm in a suburban environment over here. It's a small little town, but I'm lucky where I've got a small house, but it's a large lot. I've got a quarter-acre lot, but it's actually larger because I have a creek that's my lot is flat and it rolls down. So what I learned is how many wild animals come into my yard that I didn't know during the day. I always knew at night, and I can see them at night, or my cameras capture them at night. But in the day, as I was working away and staring out the window, I watched bobcats chase squirrels. I watched, hawks come in. I watched the deer roll through, which happened daily. The bobcats, continuously rolling through with a coyote here and there chasing the turkeys. So that's one thing. But what I learned was that the renovation and remodel market in this country is incredibly large.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is so much opportunity out there, and it's largely untapped. It's just as you noted, um, a firecracker, an explosion that's ready to go off, and it's because of what people learned in lockdown. You appreciated the outdoors more. Let me rephrase that. You became more interested in being outdoors. You appreciated the outdoors more and what it offered you. No matter where you live in the country, look behind you, it's beautiful. You appreciate that. That's why you're sitting outside today. And so I think that was a lesson that many people, if not everyone, learned, and also learned how you can apply that type of thinking to commercial environments, such as we talked about a restaurant, incorporate and make that restaurant incorporate it into the outside, make it experiential, make it interesting to go to, and tap into those natural resources surrounding wherever that restaurant may be, whatever time of year it is. These restaurants that we have our product in, many of them are in very cold weather environments, but they're still large panes of glass. They still look out. It could be snowing out, and they look out and they have beautiful
Yeah,
landscaping
it's
that's
still
covered in
pretty.
snow. It's
Hmm.
still pretty. And then during spring and summer, they can open up and you have a completely different experience. So it gives a restaurant, it gives a retail environment, a country club, a sports venue. There's lots of other things we haven't spoken about, like STC and why these products are used in these environments. But to directly answer the question of what we learned out of the pandemic is that almost all of these environments can benefit from being integrated into the outside world. And even if they're inside, you mentioned offices, and I'll just jump on this for a moment.
Yeah, sure.
Lure people back to the office, create an environment that makes them want to come back to that office, create an experience, create a flexible interior environment where they can open and close based on what they're doing and working with groups and working with each other. Make it interesting, make it, something that will draw them back into the office. And the companies that, there's many big names that used our product in their conference rooms or in their open floor spaces to do that. And those employees came back more quickly than a more traditional environment. Think schools too. The schools I went to when I was a kid were boxes,
Oh, yeah.
right? The schools today, particularly in the Midwest, you look at how a number of these states have redeveloped their whole education system based around collaborative learning and the architects that they've worked with and the builders that they've worked with. We do a lot of work in Texas. They're very innovative in their school district, for instance.
Hmm.
And it makes for an environment where kids love it and they want to learn.
I'll tell you that, behind me there's 60 acres and it's fourth generation family that owns it. And the parents, the kids are going to inherit it. They want to sell it and get it developed. But the parents signed a 10-year gig, so I won't have anybody behind her. But we just had a black bear roll across, and I got deer, I got coyotes. I hear them every day, not during the day, but at night when they catch something, it's loud. And it's a symphony of frogs here every night. Yeah, it's just, I got these green things. They jump on I mean, it is tree frogs. It is unbelievable. But just like I used to come up and cut the grass. I had the land since October of 2020 when we bought it. And I didn't realize it, but now at night I have four dog rescue. My wife's a rescuer. We got four rescues. So at night I go out, I got to be careful because it's a 5 foot fence, but the coyotes, they can still jump it if they want to. So I got to go out there and be careful. You don't really see them, during the day, but we'll see deer. I'll see, I see all that stuff. Some of the stuff that people tell me, I laughed when I said, "There's no bears up here." Sure enough, one of my neighbors, two houses down, caught this bear running across the street. They used to run through my yard, across into the other woods, and then down to the lake. And here's a big old bear, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I would do if I saw one of those things. But there it was, on the camera, on the on their security camera. I was like, wow, that's pretty in the middle of the day, just cruising across, doing his thing. You invade their property, it is what it is. So
Yeah.
if,
Yeah.
if if someone out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk wanted to reach out to you and bounce some questions off you, maybe they're doing a renovation or they're going to roll this out into 20 projects, or they've got an idea, but they were thinking about this. How would someone reach out to you or your team to bounce some questions off of?
Pretty easy. You could either directly reach out to me, which is my email simple. It's matt.thomas@nanowall.com, or just marketing at nanowall.com. So marketing at nanowall.com comes directly into us also, into the team. And however, call the company. Many times the person that answers the phone is the CEO, founder of the company, because he likes to talk to customers. He's gotten a lot of good ideas from customers. Some of our patented ideas have directly come from those conversations. So we are a company that we like to talk to our customers out there, architects, builders, business owners, homeowners, and listen, understand, and then help guide you to what you may need in a project. We have an internal team that is a dedicated design team to work with builders, architects, contractors, um, and they can help recommend what would work for you, and then we can visualize ideas using, we've got a great tool called the 3D configurator that we spent years developing. The NanaWall 3D configurator allows you to, like, you go to an auto dealer and you want to look at a car in different color paint or configurations, wheel sizes. We do the same thing, but with our products. You can choose
Mhm.
different products, you can envision them, and we are working towards where you can simply take a picture of whatever wall, if you're in a commercial environment or your home, and then use augmented reality to use our product and put it into what you're envisioning to give you a better idea of what those possibilities are.
The garage company that we use, they had their software they built where you could take a picture of your house, where the garage was, and then you could take their garage, depending on what color it was or what you wanted, and you could see it, and build whatever you want. If you want to put windows in it or handles, that stuff is so cool. It just makes so much easier to try to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is awesome. But if someone wanted to call the general number, what's that? Because I'll put this in the description, as well as when I edit it, I'll put all the stuff in some subheadings. But what's the general number that they can call into?
800 873 5673.
There you go. So listen, if you have a project, residential, commercial, or maybe both, who knows? Call Matt, or maybe you'll talk to the owner, or the sales team in there, and they'll come up with some cool stuff. Like I said, I've known NanaWall for a long time. First class operation, first class products. I used to deal with the marketing manager. She's retired now, but she was awesome. And if you've never seen it in an application, whether residential, commercial, definitely it could give you many ways that you can incorporate it. So urge you to take a listen. So listen, if anyone wants to reach me, I'm at David C at ccr-mag.com. Matt got on here because the publicist sent me a product release, and I hadn't had Nat on the show, and I was like, you know what? Let's get someone on there. So we went back and forth, and boom, here he is, talking about his doors and wall systems, for residential, commercial. So, send us those. Don't, it's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. You don't send me something, I can't find something, where to post it. Very tough to get in the magazine, but we look at everything. I have nice ladies, two nice ladies up in Chicago that post for me all day long. It could be a new product release. It could be an anniversary for your company. It could be a new hire, charity golf tournament that you're doing. Just I am content addicted. Send it to me. Our turnaround times, 24 to 72 hours. We index it, make sure everything is meta tagged. Your SEO, that's your search engine optimization. That's how Google finds you, and it's a win-win. And we'll send you the live link once it's all comprised. So, uh, you know, uh, send it to us. Nothing to lose and everything to gain. Just like Matt, boom, and here he is. So. If, as we finish up, if there was one positive thought or phrase that you'd like to leave with our listeners, what would it be, Matt?
Keep building.
Yeah, hey, I like it. Keep building, man. I like moving forward, but keep building too. I got it.
What we've seen and what we like to think of ourselves as is game changers. We are there to help change the game in all these different environments that contractors and architects and design professionals and builders use us in. We have so many stories that we share on our website, and that's continuously coming in. Many of these stories, ranging from auto dealers to sports venues to country clubs, restaurants, retail, schools, interiors. And these environments that we get to see are fascinating. And what ideas are being implemented are incredible. And so I think that there is so much opportunity that will continue in both worlds, both commercial and residential.
Yeah, I like it. Keep building and be a game changer. That's awesome. I love it. I might have to put that in my own little video that I do every day. So I like game changers. I really like that word. So thank you for sharing that. So as we finish up, a couple things. Number one, if you're on a construction site, new or renovation, number one, we want you to be safe. All right. We want you to be able to get home, have dinner with your spouse, your husband, your wife, your kids, your pets, have some fun, watch some tube, laugh, and then get some REM sleep and be able to do it the next day. Number two, it's summertime, sizzling hot here in the South. I don't care where you are, you got to stay liquefied. This is the athlete in me. If you get dehydrated, you don't make the pass, you drop the ball, you get headaches, you get hurt, and then the next day is just that much worse for you. You stay liquefied on the construction site, put some electrolytes in your bottle, especially during the dog days of summer and the heat and the humidity. First of all, you're going to be that much more productive on the site. You'll sleep better the following day. And then when you wake up positive, your day's going to be that much better for you. So staying liquefied is just really important. Last but not least, hit the like button. Let's make sure that YouTube sends out this algorithm so you can find this episode on Matt and NanaWall and all the products that they have for commercial and residential. And, give them the thumbs up if you give us a like. Matt, any final thoughts as we, finish up and say goodbye?
Well, let's hope those interest rates go down, because I
Yeah, no,
agree with you.
I'm with
Let's
listening.
let's keep that. We need to keep the built environment rolling. But
Hey,
architecture and
I'll take a
structures.
couple points, I mean, it's just, it's everything. You lower the interest rates, cars are going to start selling, homes will start getting built, people will have a little more money in their pocket, and all the other things that they're doing right now. I mean, they're talking about getting rid of property tax, getting rid of the IRS. There's just so many things that are going on. If they get it all done, it's like I said, it's the most amazing time to be alive. But I don't, I'm not a political guy, so there's not much I can do for it. All I can do is vote. And then hopefully, things go whatever I think is going to be a positive. But some of that stuff's out of your control. So hopefully they'll get all that done. But I'm very bullish on what's coming down the pike. And between technology, AI, and all the things like I said, every day is never dull. I mean, it's just at night I'll lay in bed and I'll scroll through my phone to see what the heck's going on. But it's just amazing. And construction it's just gonna explode. I'm just waiting for it. Like you said, the renovation, the whole residential market, it's so untapped. It's just unbelievable to be a residential contractor, or even a commercial contractor. Some of my commercial contractors, they'll just build a couple of homes during the year just to keep themselves sharp on that
Hmm.
side because you never know which way that the thing's gonna sway.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of great work being done in retrofit commercial retrofitted environments. We just did a big project in New York City where they retrofitted buildings and modernized them, but as we discussed earlier in the episode, kept the look, the feel, the history of structure. And there's just great things happening if we keep building, if we keep pushing forward and create new structures, because it's exhilarating going into a number of these structures, when you have very unique architecture and then how they're utilized and bring people into them. That's what they're for.
Well, when I get out to North Cal, where you guys are, I'd love to meet you in person and maybe go out and see some projects and see some cool
Welcome
stuff.
anytime. I will be your tour
Listen,
guide.
I take everybody up on that stuff. I love seeing stuff in person because you just, you never know. I mean, seeing is believing, in my opinion. And
We'll
the
go
day I
across
stopped
the
learning is,
bridges.
yeah, no, like I said, there's nothing like California, man. Ski in the morning, surf in the afternoon. Unbelievable. And then eat dinner outside at night. Right to a NanaWall. Uh, so say goodbye, Matt, from North Cal.
Thank you, everybody. Signing off from Northern California.
And I'm going to sign off from Lake Lanier, about 30 miles north up of the downtown ATL. And listen, everybody, we just had our 249th birthday in the country. It's the second half of the year. Yeah, if you didn't think about it, just go back and assess. Look what you did for the first 6 months, all the wins and learns that you did. Kind of tweak some things, and then just go full tilt all the way till the end of the year. And you can look back and you'll have about 6 months of 180 days or maybe a little less of data. And nothing like looking at back. The scoreboard doesn't change. However, you can see where you worked hard. Maybe you didn't do your best on certain days, and listen, every game counts. Every second counts. So just keep your blinders on and stay positive. And before you know, it's going to be the fall, and then the holidays are going to be here because time is just flying at warp speed. So with that. Appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your week. Today's hump day, and before you know, it's going to be TGIF in the weekend. Matt, look forward to meeting you. Everybody out there, I will see you next time on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Cheers. Have a great rest of the day.